Lovely. Nicola, great to meet and chat to you. Big game ahead for the Arsenal. I just wanted to ask, I guess, around not just the occasion, but I guess the added advantage of the fact that you guys are already into your season, Arsenal coming off the back of the pre-season, where they haven't played nearly as many games as you. Do you feel like that's going to add to the game, to, I guess, the importance of the game, but also an added factor?
Recording in progress.
It's all right.
To be honest, I think obviously based on Arsenal as well, I think they'll know it's a knockout stage, so they know what happened last year with Champions League, so I think they'll be ready to go for the game. But like you say, we've obviously got that slight advantage. We've played a number of games now, most of them together as well, so we're obviously ready to go. We know that it's going to be a tough match, but look, the preparations have been excellent on and off the pitch, whether that be analysis or on the grass as well, so we're really ready to go now.
I think with the Champions League, it's always been a thing of when it starts this early, especially the qualifiers. Sometimes it doesn't work in the favour for WSL teams, and we saw that last year with Arsenal against Paris. So despite the fact that you guys may be the underdogs of this competition, do you feel like you can really take away something from it?
Yeah, look, I think we're going into the game very confident. We know that it's going to be a tough test, but like I say, even in Champions League, there's no easy game in Champions League. As soon as you come into this competition, it's tough at the top. But look, we're not here to make numbers. We're here to challenge Arsenal and really take the game to them, and that's something that we'll be doing tomorrow night.
One part that Arsenal struggled with during the pre-season, I guess, in the most recent game was goals. I know they did beat Southampton, but compared to their XG or what you'd expected for them to score, it wasn't necessarily near the mark. And where you guys have scored so many goals so far this season, do you think that's an added advantage that you've got in this game?
Yeah, I think so. I think what we've done this season is we've really added quality up top. You can see that with Wilco up top, Rio Hardy, Kirsty Howard. We've got, but it's not just the strikers. I think you look at our games, the goals are coming from all over the park, and that's something that happened last season as well, but we've just added that little bit extra quality up top as well to really hit home the goals, because that's something that we suffered from last season, was missing out in the league on goal difference. So that's something that we've really been challenging ourselves to do, is score more goals, and we've certainly did that already this season.
When we talk about the Women's Champions League, we talk a lot about just the occasion and what it does for the women's football community as a whole in terms of like the crowds that it brings in. Just how important would it be for Rangers just to make it into those qualifier group stages?
Yeah, well, obviously Rangers is built on history, making major competitions, and that's not going to be any different for the women's team. We really want to emulate what the men have done in the past, and that's something that we really need to take pride in ourselves, as we want to make it as far as we can in the competition. We're not here just, like I said, to be a number. We spoke about it at the start of last season, Joe and myself, is we really want to challenge in Champions League and not just be like, oh, we've made Champions League football, great. We actually want to compete in this competition, and that's something we'll be doing starting tomorrow night.
I guess with European football, it's the unusual factor of, I guess, you're playing against different teams from all over Europe, different styles of football, different experiences. How do you think that's going to be throughout, obviously, the tournament, but even, I guess, tomorrow you're playing against Arsenal, very different to how you guys play at Rangers or how the league is?
Yeah, it's obviously a lot different. We've obviously not played Arsenal yet, but I think credit to Jo and her staff, and Jo herself, she knows Arsenal inside out, and you can see that on the training pitch. The detail that's been put into training has been excellent all week, and the girls know their jobs, and that's something that we're going to really need to do, is take responsibility when we go onto the pitch. But like I say, and probably from the outside, people are going to think, yeah, Arsenal are the better team, but we're going into this game ready to compete.
Thanks very much. Yeah, Nicola, apologies if this is just slightly similar, but can you just assess for me the difficulty in bridging the gap, if you like, how hard a challenge this is? I hear you there saying that you're here to take it to Arsenal and to challenge in Champions League, but how difficult a prospect is that, and how do you do it? Because these are seriously good teams.
Yeah, of course. We're obviously going to respect Arsenal. Of course we're going to do that, but the work that we do on the pitch back in Glasgow, is the attention to detail that Jo and our staff put on for us, is only going to help us grow. Obviously, we can only play what's in front of us in Scotland, and that's what we do week in, week out. And each team has different challenges, so obviously Arsenal will be no different, but we've been training hard. It's been a very good pre-season, and like I said, we're ready to go, and hopefully we can come out on top.
How do you assess the difference between the sides, and in terms of the quality? Do you see it as a meeting of equals, or is there a bridging of a quality gap still there?
Yeah, I think when you look at the WSL and you look at the league in Scotland, there is obviously a gap there. We're obviously trying to bridge that a little bit more at Rangers. We've obviously got a great facility back in Glasgow, and we're trying to do everything we can as individuals on and off the pitch with the staff that we bring in as well. We're trying to bridge that gap a little bit closer. And like you say, like back in Scotland, there is a little bit of a gap there still, and that's me being entirely honest. But we can only do what we can on the training pitch and with the staff that we've got, and that's what we've been doing from the last since Joe's came in.
And for the ambitions of the club, is this exactly the kind of challenge that you as a player and you as your teammates and the club itself relishes, albeit an extremely difficult one?
Of course, you want to be playing at the highest level, and that's Champions League football. I've had the pleasure of playing the competition many times, and there's no greater feeling than representing your club for the Champions League. So that's something that we're really looking forward to as a squad, and we're really excited to be back in the competition, because we obviously missed out last year. So to be back in the competition, and there's no better way to challenge yourself than against Arsenal.
Can I just ask you, if you're successful in this one, would this be the biggest scalp that you would have taken in your career?
Yeah, it would definitely be up there. I think if I do a job tomorrow night against Arsenal, I think that could definitely be up there with a career highlight.
What experiences previously in your career, you've obviously played at the very highest level internationally, but what experiences will you draw upon as a player going into tomorrow night?
I think obviously just with Champions League football, it's a lot more physical and demanding, especially towards when you look back at our league games. I think the quality of players that you're coming up against is probably far more superior. So I think us as a squad, we've got a real togetherness within our squad as well, and we'll run for 90 minutes. And sometimes, no matter what tactics you do, it's just you've got to take responsibility when you go on the pitch as well. So that's something that we'll be looking to do.
Just kind of thinking of that Scotland-England game, the one down at Sunderland, just around this time last year. You know, England were going into that game as European champions, but Scotland ran them really, really close. You were obviously part of that squad. I'm just thinking, is that the kind of game that you think you can hang a bit of hope on?
No, to be honest, yeah, that was obviously a good game to be a part of. We obviously ran England really close that match, but I'm here to focus on Rangers, and that's what I'm here to do today, and that's all I'll be speaking about.
Nicola, in terms of talking about previous games and going back to the Benfica tie, obviously it's small margins. In terms of your position as a captain, do you feel you've really got a burden on you, not just to look after your game, but to make sure that everybody else is concentrating? Because imagine you're quite happy with performance in terms of training, but in these games, it's the small margins that really matter.
100%. That's 100% what it comes down to, is the small margins in these games. Obviously, you touch on the Benfica game. We ran them really close, and it was that last part of the game that we just maybe switched off. So I think and I've always said it, as soon as you come into Champions League football, you've got to be on it from minute one. And that's every single player across the park. It's not just one person in the team. So everybody's got to be on it if we want to get a result, because if a few are not quite on it, then they can really go and hurt you. So that's what I'll be saying to the rest of the girls, is we just need to be on it from minute one.